How's it going, everyone? This is Mitchell Mander here, and welcome to another review of Pokemon 2019. Today, I will be covering episode number 7, which involves Ash and Go going to the Hoenn region to enter the Battle Frontier Flute Cup tournament. And I have to say, I enjoyed this episode a lot. It was a very enjoyable episode from beginning to end. And I know that this new series is more episodic, and I'm still kind of iffy on that format, but I hope more episodes are like this if this is the case. If we have episodic episodes that are like this week's episode, then it will make the series very enjoyable. And it's definitely a step up from last week's episode, which I thought was kind of average, so this was a good change of pace. Anywho, if you like this video and you like this content, be sure to like and subscribe as I cover the Pokemon 2019 series week by week in reviews. Anyways, let's get on to the review. So I do like the intro scene in this episode in which Mr. Mime is essentially doing yoga or kung fu, and Go, Professor Sakuragi, Koharu, and their Pokemon are basically trying to imitate them, and Mr. Mime looks at Go and is like, "Oh, you're not doing it right," and points at Metapod, who apparently, even though Metapod really can't do anything, is somehow doing it right. That's when Scorbunny jumps in and kicks Metapod, and it flies up in the air and it hits a rock. And they all freak out because like, "Oh no, is Metapod okay? It could have damaged his insides." And Professor Sakuragi runs over to the rock that Metapod landed on and is like, "Oh my gosh, are you alright?" Koharu's like, what are you doing? That's a rock." But, yeah, I thought that was a little funny scene, but Metapod's okay. But then Ash shows up out of nowhere, throws Go his backpack's like, "Yep, we're going to the Hoenn region." I just think it's funny, again, that it's just like, it's Ash and Go that's coming up with where they're heading to next, and Professor Sakuragi's not saying anything, because I'm, like, sitting over here like, Professor, you seem to have a lot of money in your budget to send these kids across regions all over the world, because they went from the Galar region, and that was Go's idea, and he didn't really object to it, and now Ash is suggesting that they go to Hoenn, and he says nothing. I just can't get over that. I'm like, I guess he must have a lot of money to send these kids across the regions. But anyways, that's a minor point. Anyways, on to the Hoenn section of this episode. So as Ash and Go arrive in the Hoenn region and enter the Battle Frontier Flute Cup tournament, we learn a few things about this tournament. We learn that this is a singles tournament in which the participants can only use 2 Pokemon throughout this tournament. And whoever wins this tournament ends up winning a set of flutes along with a trophy. So for Ash, he uses, of course, Pikachu, but for his other Pokemon it ends up being Mr. Mime or Mime, which I thought this was funny because to my knowledge, Mime only follows Dahlia's commands. So I thought that was a bit strange. So is Ash able to use Mime now, like his mother? Additionally, Mime's in a Pokeball, which I don't think Mime has ever been in a Pokeball before or seen in the series. So does that mean that Ash has caught Mr. Mime officially? Not sure, but I just found that interesting. For Go, on the other hand, he uses Scorbunny, obviously, but for his other Pokemon, he was going to go with Pinsir, but Pinsir didn't want to do it. So instead, he uses Scyther. So those are the 2 Pokemon he uses. As Go is in the Hoenn region, and with his modified goal of catching all the Pokemon before eventually catching Mew, he goes off alone to catch some Hoenn Pokemon, and ends up catching a Tallow along with 3 Wurmple, though these 3 Wurmple are caught off screen. He does run into a Mightyena, in which Scorbunny ends up ripping some of its fur off, which angers it, and chases them off. More on that in a minute. Meanwhile, Ash actually ends up running into what would be his rival in this Battle Frontier tournament, and his name is Hoji. He has a Hayama and a then unknown second Pokemon for the tournament, and he has a haircut that's very similar to that one Pikachu from the Pikachu Valley episode back in Sun and Moon. And I have to say, I actually did not mind this character. I wasn't really sure when I saw the leaked images and preview for this episode. I was very much expecting this character to be the stereotypical jerk rival that talks down to Ash and Go, but I was actually pleasantly surprised he wasn't that bad of a character in the end. He didn't act like a jerk to these 2, so I actually don't mind him. But it's then revealed in a very funny scene that his second Pokemon is actually Mightyena, as Go and Scorbunny jump out of nowhere and try to catch him. He's like, "No, stop, that's my Pokemon." And then hilarity ensues as Ash gets pretty much kicked by Scorbunny. Scorbunny was trying to kick the trainer, but ends up kicking Ash instead. And then Pikachu ends up shocking Ash instead of Scorbunny. And yeah, there's a little funny scene there. Now on to the actual meat of this episode, which is the battle tournament itself. As it turns out, Go is actually matched up with Hoji in the very first round of this tournament. And for Go, this is actually his first battle as a trainer. He's never battled before. He's only watched Ash, so he's very inexperienced, and unfortunately for him, he's battling in a tournament as his first battle ever. And it goes about as well as you would expect for an inexperienced trainer in a tournament setting. He goes up against Hoji, and Hoji basically one-shots all of his Pokemon. He pretty much goes down very easily, and it's kind of embarrassing to go down just like that. So as we go to the Pokemon Center and Go releases his Pokemon from the Pokeballs, he's visibly upset and exclaims that, yeah, catching is better. Kind of showing, how self-centered he still is and that he still has room to grow. Ash, noticing this, he doesn't outright say, hey, you need to watch for me to learn. But he basically tells Go, hey, watch my battles. It's kind of a subtle way of saying, hey, watch me battle, and then maybe you'll learn a thing or two and maybe improve as a trainer. Go ends up running off to go catch Pokemon, which I assume this is where he catches the 3 Wurmple. But he eventually comes back and watches Ash, as Ash, being Ash, basically runs through the tournament until the finals, so Go eventually goes back to watch Ash's final match. Now I have to say that I actually really enjoyed this battle between Ash and Hoji. A very enjoyable match. And I have to say, Mr. Mime is the GOAT. Anybody that was upset about Mr. Mime participating in this tournament is eating their words, because Mr. Mime was awesome in this battle. Mr. Mime was practically in control of this battle. Nothing Hayama did anything to Mr. Mime. He was using that Kung Fu yoga stuff that he was doing at the beginning of the episode that Go noted. He was basically dodging all of Hayama's attacks. He was using Reflect to basically, counter, all of his attacks, and took him out in pretty much one shot. He also used Focus Blast. Didn't look like the punch was going to do much, but it ended up doing a lot of damage. But yeah, Mr. Mime pretty much destroys Hayama, and it was awesome. We then get Pikachu versus Mightyena, and that was an awesome battle too. And there was so many good things about this, and I like the fact that Ash uses the same strategy he used against Gladion in this battle, in which at some point in the battle, Pikachu uses Thunderbolt and breaks a hole in the ceiling, and Ash, in the heat of the moment, in a very Ash-like move, has Pikachu use Electro Web on the ceiling. He uses it to bounce off of that and use Iron Tail right on Mightyena. He does it at such a fast, speed that Hoji's not able to react in time to command Mightyena, and that's the end of the tournament. And Ash wins. And I have to say, that was a very satisfying win. Not gonna lie, I like the strategies that Ash used throughout this battle, and Mr. Mime was awesome. So I can say that Ash deserved this win here. Oh yeah, there's actually one more scene I wanted to talk about. At the very end of the episode, the Wurmple that Go caught were brought back to the Sakuragi lab, and Kawaru was sitting over there questioning, hey, Go, why did you catch 3 of them? Shouldn't you have only caught 1? And he brings up the fact that, they could evolve into Cascoon or Silcoon. And then Ash is sitting over there, is like, well, they're evolving. Everyone's like, what? And Ash is like, well, just kidding. So I guess Lana rubbed off on Ash a little bit. So I gotta say, I actually really enjoyed this episode. Now, the episodic nature of this new series, I'm still kind of iffy on it, as it has the potential to get boring in the long run. But I hope more episodes are like this week's episode, fun and enjoyable and have meaning to it. The episode reflected a lot of things that I like in Pokemon. I like the battles, I like the characters, and I like the development of certain characters. And this episode showed a lot of it. It showed that Ash is still very competent. It showed a very good battle with good strategy for Ash. We also got Go developing as a trainer. As last week's episode, he caught a bunch of Pokemon. And in this week's episode, he battled for the first time as a trainer, and in a tournament no less. And he had a pretty humiliating loss. He took it hard, and hopefully, watching Ash, he'll improve as a trainer in his next battle. We'll see what happens in his next Pokemon battle, but I'm hoping that Go grows from this, and it's showing that he is developing slowly as a character, and I do like it. And despite the fact that I'm a little upset that Ash didn't bring up his previous Battle Frontier challenge in Kanto to Go, I was hoping maybe he would maybe mention it as one of the reasons why they're participating in this tournament. But overall, that's more of a nitpick, so I'm not going to hold the episode against it. I do think that this series needs to do some more continuity nods, or maybe mention a thing or two here or there. Because, I don't know, especially with next week's episode, I wish that Ash would bring up more stuff to Go, just to, show Go that, he's done quite a few things and he's grown a lot as a trainer himself. And then hopefully Go will also have the same type of growth. So that's all I got for this review. Overall, this was a very good episode in my opinion, and it is my second favorite episode of the new series so far. I give this episode a solid 8.5 out of 10. So guys out there, what'd you think of this episode? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Leave your thoughts in the comment section down below and be sure to like and subscribe, and I will talk to you all later.